Well, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the last session. We've arrived at the point of what we're calling the Integrate Awards. The Integrate Awards are possible because a generous donor has offered a donation of $7,000 for a particular purpose. That particular purpose is to fulfill the mission of ISCAST through a student project. And today we're hearing from two students who have projects to propose. The idea is that they will make their proposals and then they will have 6 months, maybe a year even, to put their proposals into practice, and we will make an arrangement with them. If they win some of this money, we will make an arrangement with them at what points along the line we will make payments to them. So we have two proposals. One proposal is from Danielle Terceiro. Now, Danielle, as many of you know, had to leave because of the timing, but she has sent her pitch on a video. And the second proposal is from Megan Fisher up the back there, and she has brought her pitch live in her head and she will present her pitch live. So first of all, we'll go to Danielle's pitch and hear from Danielle. Thank you.
My name is Danielle Terceiro, and thank you for this opportunity to pitch for the Integrate Awards 2022. I propose to write an academic article on picture book biographies of Maria Marian to submit to an academic journal that is interested in exploring the interaction between faith and science. I then propose to write a popular piece on scientists in popular culture to help resource Christian teachers and their students. Maria Marian was born in 1647 and lived in Germany and the Netherlands in the period after the European 30-Year War. Even though she was a female with no formal training and less access to artistic resources than her male peers, the detailed drawings that she did as a teenager of the life cycle of a silkworm helped Europeans to move away from old ideas about spontaneous regeneration, and her later naturalist drawings are treated by contemporary scientists as accurate portrayals of insect metamorphoses and ecosystems. Marian grew up in a Calvinist household and for a period of time as an adult lived in a religious community in Friesland. My proposed paper will examine what evidence there is of Marian's theology and how it might have informed her work. It will then examine two picture book retellings of her life: The Girl Who Drew Butterflies, How Maria Marian's Art Changed Science, and The Bug Girl, Maria Marian's Scientific Vision. My working hypothesis is that these picture books present Marian's life as the kind of parable that illuminates a move in Europe from superstition to science. And in the process, the narrative perhaps distorts or ignores the theological resources that Marian brought to her vocation. The way that Marian's life is told for a young audience is hagiographic. That is, it presents her as a kind of secular saint who helps the modern world move out of superstitious darkness. And it draws on figurative connotations from her art and the idea of metamorphosis to explain the emergence of a scientific world without magic. My article would highlight how, perhaps unintentionally or unconsciously, our contemporary culture is framing stories about science for children that misrepresent the interaction between science and faith. I would then propose to write a shorter non-academic piece for the Christian Teachers Journal, an Australian publication, or a similar publication that resources Christian teachers. In this piece, I would consider the way in which the scientist is portrayed in popular culture. I would draw together insights from my Maria Marian paper, as well as my work on African futurism that I have presented at this conference, and other multimodal texts in popular culture. What stereotypes or misconceptions about the role of a scientist does a Christian scientist have to navigate? What ideas from within popular culture might assist the Christian scientist to frame a faith-filled understanding of their vocation? My proposal builds on research interests that I have been developing in the context of both my university study and my paid work as a high school teacher. I became interested in the interaction between word and image to produce meaning while studying a Master of Arts in Children's Literature at Macquarie University. My master's thesis looked at how graphic memoirs represent felt consciousness, and as important background to this analysis, I enjoyed researching some of the science behind the theory of mind and felt consciousness. I'm currently completing a PhD by publication through Alpha Crucis University College, writing articles that explore how meaning is made through the interaction between word and image. My proposal draws together my interest in the stories we tell about science with my research background in literature and theology. I believe that the proposed academic article and the popular piece together could help Christians frame coherent stories about the way science can be integrated with faith, and to help us understand how the scientific world continues to draw upon theological resources from its faith communities. I hope to provide encouragement, ultimately, for students of science and to help them understand that not all popular culture narratives about what or who a scientist is are constructive, and to help them find a personal narrative in which they can explore how their scientific passions can glorify God. Thank you.
That's excellent. And I noticed we saved 50 seconds by watching it at 1.2 times. So now we're going to move on to the second talk. Megan, will you please come up the front? I don't think Danielle's with us online. No, she's not, because she's in an aeroplane at the moment. So now we're going to hear from Megan. Hand over to you, Megan.
You can't put me on 1.2 times speed, unfortunately.
Just
So.
pace you like.
All right, so I have a half an hour then, is that it? So my name is Megan Fisher, and I have a background in biology, bachelor's in science, and I focus in molecular biology and virology. I worked in a structural biology lab for a few years, working on bacteriophage proteins and trying to determine the structure of those. So I like small things that are sometimes dangerous. Isaiah 40 verse 26 says, lift up your eyes and look to the heavens, who created all these. He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls forth each of them by name. As Christians, we desire all peoples to look to the stars, planets and galaxies, and also the small things like viruses and bacteria, and ask who created all of these. Within my circle of friends and contacts, I see a few different reactions regarding the science's creation care in Christianity. Some Christians in my spheres of living openly acknowledge that there is beauty and value to creation and that they need to be active in caring for that. And yet with some, there resides suspicion around environmental action, climate change, and the sciences. Why is this, and can they be persuaded otherwise? My daughter, who's in London studying, was asked by her physiotherapist a few weeks ago, how can someone be a Christian and a scientist? How should we respond to questions like that, to those who only recognize perhaps a materialistic view of the world and the sciences? For centuries, theologians have spoken of 2 books, although Chris yesterday mentioned 3, that reveal who God is and how we, as his creation, should relate to him. Writers have sometimes spoken of the first book as the book of nature, or general revelation, and it's revealed through the works of God's creation and reason. This is a book where sometimes the letters might be found in GATC or GAUC. Words are formed from codons, and perhaps pages are the beta sheets found in tertiary protein folds. But this is at just the molecular level. Today we saw pictures of a much more cosmic size and something beautiful as well. Over the past few years, I've been wondering, why isn't the book of nature and its importance discussed more within my Christian circles? Could it be possible that we Christians can develop a richer appreciation for the sciences and creation care if the book of nature was better understood? What could we learn more about? Learn more about God if we learned how to study this book's pages a bit more carefully? How might the writings on the book of nature be used as a conversation starter with those who are skeptical of the sciences and faith belonging together? For my project, it is my desire to create a digital artistic statement displaying the intersection between the book of nature and the sciences. And I want to do that through theological literature referencing the book of nature. So for instance, Herman Bavinck writes about it. The Belgic Confession mentions it, and lots of others. I also want to look at scientific discoveries and also artistic expression, because I'm half artist as well. Through this piece of work, I would like to encourage others to see the great value that the Book of Nature holds and how it might be used to persuade others to consider how they can better tend to creation, develop a love for the sciences, and also serve as a beacon for hope. So I desire two outcomes specifically. One is to help Christians develop a starting point for a deeper theological understanding of why they should care about the sciences and creation care. Secondly, I would like this project to help Christian students. That's what I'm studying right now, a master's in teaching biology and chemistry. So I'm interested in students. To help Christian students of all ages develop a solid theological foundation regarding science and creation care as they contemplate further studies and their vocations. This digital conversation piece would take the form of a website. And I'm thinking of one that's similar, that's called thegospelofTrees.net. That's was put together by Alan Jacobs. I don't know if you know who he is, but he wrote the book, How to Think, and several others. A website that functions somewhat like a book. On these pages would be filled with quotes from theologians referencing the Book of Nature, also poems and hymns that reference the Book of Nature and the wonder of creation, thoughts from Christian scientists, and also artists creating pieces that show how the Book of Nature and science intersect. And my desire is also to involve secondary school students in creating pieces of art for this. And I've been in discussion with a friend down in Geelong who teaches at a Christian secondary school, and he's very excited about it. So I would like to see this digital book as a starting place for others to become excited and see how throughout history we've celebrated the wonder of God's creation. And in turn, that Christians see this as a noble calling and something that they can get excited about. So for example, going back to Isaiah, what should it mean to Christians when the very objects in the sky, the stars, the moon, that call us to wonder are actually smothered by air and light pollution? What does that mean theologically to us? And how should that call us to care more? Perhaps we have forgotten how to wonder, and so I'd like to bring that back into focus with my project. And LM Sakassis has written a really great article on wonder and technology that you might be interested in. It's on the website comment. Yes, just to conclude, I'd like to finish with a section of John Newton's hymn 81 entitled The Book of Creation. The book of nature lies open, with much instruction stored, but till the Lord anoints our eyes, we cannot read a word. Philosophers have pored in vain, and guessed from age to age, for reasons I could ne'er attain to understand a page. Though to each star they give a name, its size and motions teach, the truths which all the stars proclaim, their wisdom cannot reach. With skill to measure earth and sea, and weigh the subtle air, they cannot, Lord, discover thee, though present everywhere. The knowledge of the saints excels the wisdom of the schools. To them his secrets God reveals through men, though men account them fools. To them the sun and stars on high, the flowers that paint the field, and all the artless birds that fly, divine instruction yield. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. I think it's safe to say that in discussion and having had a preliminary look at both Danielle and Megan's presentations, we are keen to keep talking to them and feel quite positive about them. Now, that's not exactly quite a commitment and it doesn't have any numbers on it, but we are really keen to keep going. So what we're going to do with Megan and Danielle is we're going to continue the conversation, nail down the proposal in a bit more detail, timelines, that sort of thing, and make decisions about it. I think that also our hunch is that we're going to have a second round of Integrate Awards announced sometime in early 2023. If there are students listening or if there are students present, we would really love to hear from you when that announcement goes out. The intention of the donor of this money is to involve students in the sorts of things that ISCAST is doing to contribute to that conversation, constructive conversation between science and Christianity, and hopefully involve students in a way that will mean they will be encouraged to go on being involved in that conversation well beyond the time of the award and that sort of thing. So thank you so much, Megan, and to Danielle.